Why intelligent minds struggle to be understood. Some of the loneliest people in the room are the ones everyone thinks have it all figured out. They're not shy, they're not withdrawn. They're often the ones asking the good questions, noticing the thing nobody else caught, connecting ideas that seem to come from nowhere. And yet, ask them privately how often they feel truly understood, and something shifts in their face. A pause, a small, tired smile. Not very often. That's strange, isn't it? Intelligence is supposed to make connection easier. More vocabulary, more insight, more to offer a conversation. So why do so many deep thinkers describe feeling like they're speaking a language no one else quite hears? This isn't a video about how smart people are better than everyone else. It's the opposite. It's about a quiet, invisible tax that comes with thinking in a certain way, and how it slowly convinces some of the most thoughtful people alive that they're hard to love, hard to reach, hard to know. If you've ever been told you think too much, if you've ever simplified something true because the full version felt like too much to hand someone, if you've ever sat in a full room and still felt completely alone, this one's for you. The paradox picture: someone at a dinner party, something clicks in their mind, a connection between two ideas, a pattern they've never quite put into words before. They lean in, excited, and start explaining it. 10 seconds in, they notice it. Eyes glazing, a polite nod that isn't really listening, someone glancing at their phone. So they do what most people in that position want to do. They shrink it, they cut the nuance, drop the caveats, land on something short and safe. Anyway, it's complicated, and they reach for their drink instead. From the outside, nothing happened. Just small talk resumed, but internally, something real just occurred. An idea that mattered got folded up and put away, unseen. That moment, repeated for years, is where this feeling of being misunderstood actually comes from. Not from being unlikable, not from being cold or superior, from constantly translating yourself down to a size other people can hold, and slowly forgetting that anyone would want the full version. The processing gap. Here's the part that reframes everything. This isn't about arrogance, it's about architecture. The way some minds are simply wired to process. Some people think in straight lines. Ask a question, get a direct answer, move on. Other people think in webs. Ask them the same question, and their brain doesn't just retrieve an answer, it lights up 5 related answers, 3 exceptions, 2 contradictions, and a memory that suddenly feels relevant. Psychologists sometimes call this difference in thinking style integrative complexity, PUM, a measure of how many angles and connections a person naturally brings into their thinking, rather than settling for one clean answer. Neither style is better, but when they meet in conversation, the mismatch is instant. The web thinker gives a nuanced, layered answer to a simple question, and gets hit with, "Why are you overthinking this?" Overthinking, as if depth were a defect, as if noticing more meant something was wrong with you. It isn't overthinking, it's a different processing speed for meaning itself. Two people can both be completely right and still walk away feeling like they were talking past each other the entire time. There's a well-known bias that makes this even harder: the curse of knowledge. Once an idea makes sense to you, it becomes almost impossible to remember what it felt like not to understand it. So the deep thinker isn't just processing more, they're also losing the ability to predict what needs explaining and what doesn't. The gap widens from both sides at once. The mask of simplicity. So what do people do with a gap like that? Mostly they hide it. Imagine a stick figure standing outside a room, quietly taking pieces of itself off before walking in, like clothes it can't wear inside. The complicated opinion, the uncertain, half-formed idea, the joke that only makes sense with 3 sentences of setup, all of it, left at the door. This is social masking, adjusting what you show people so you'll be accepted, understood, liked. Everyone does a version of it, but for people who think in webs, the gap between what's happening inside and what gets said out loud can become enormous, and that gap is exhausting to maintain. Think about the meeting where someone prepares a simple version of their idea in advance, not because the complex version is wrong, but because they've learned from experience that the full version will get them a raised eyebrow instead of a nod. Think about the friend who stopped voicing their real opinion in group conversations because every time they did, someone sighed and said, "Why do you have to make everything so complicated?" Each time that happens, a little more of the real self gets left outside the room, and the cost isn't obvious from the outside. No one sees editing happen. But inside, it feels like slowly disappearing in front of people who think they know you. Why this feels like loneliness. Here's the reframe that changes everything. This was never really about intelligence, it's about loneliness. And loneliness has almost nothing to do with how many people are around you. Researchers who study loneliness make an important distinction. Being alone and feeling alone are two completely different experiences. You can be surrounded by people and still feel deeply unseen. What matters isn't proximity, it's whether your thinking, your inner world, feels met. Picture a stick figure standing in the middle of a crowded party. Physically, it's touching the group, but there's a faint outline around it, a thin, almost invisible separation, like a pane of glass nobody else can see. That's what this feels like. Not exclusion, just distance quietly maintained, even in the middle of connection. This is why smart, thoughtful people can leave a party full of friends and feel more alone than they did sitting by themselves earlier that day. It's not a character flaw, it's not ingratitude, it's the accumulated weight of years spent translating instead of being understood on the first try. And there's a particular kind of relief that comes when this finally gets named out loud, because naming a feeling takes away some of its power. If this is you, you're not broken, and you're not alone in feeling alone. That contradiction is exactly the point. Bridging the gap. So what actually helps? Not becoming less yourself, not permanently shrinking down to fit every room. There's a better move, one that keeps the depth intact instead of erasing it. Think of it as layered communication. Instead of handing someone your full, complex thought all at once, the version that took you years to build, start with the simple entry point, the headline, then watch. If they lean in, if their eyes stay curious instead of glazing over, that's your invitation to go one layer deeper. And another. You're not dumbing anything down. You're building a bridge, one plank at a time, meeting people where they actually are instead of demanding they meet you where you started. This does two things at once. It protects you from the exhaustion of constantly over-explaining to people who didn't ask for the deep version. And it protects the relationship from the sting of being handed something too big to hold before trust has been built. It also means learning to spot the rare people who lean in without prompting, the ones who ask a second question instead of nodding politely. Those are the people worth handing more of yourself to. Not everyone, just the ones who show, in small ways, that they actually want in. Because the goal was never to be understood by everyone. It was to stop believing that being fully understood by anyone is too much to ask. If you've spent years quietly editing yourself down to be easier to connect with, you're not too much. You were just speaking in a dialect most people hadn't learned to hear yet. And somewhere, there are people who don't need the simple version at all. Have you ever simplified what you were really thinking just to be understood? And if so, what did that cost you? If this feeling is familiar, the folding up of ideas, the quiet exhaustion of translating yourself for other people, I go a lot deeper into the psychology of it and what actually helps in the book. No pressure, just linking it below if you want to keep exploring this. And if you enjoy exploring the hidden patterns behind human behavior, make sure to subscribe to Psychology for Dummies. Every week, we break down complex psychological ideas into simple, practical insights that help you better understand yourself and the people around you.